So we've got a lot going on as Tennessee wraps up the regular season with a win over Vanderbilt, including which key Tennessee players could return for another season. That's much more complicated with the NIL and the transfer portal and all that good stuff. And also Joe Milton and his play. I thought it was a very fitting way for him to go out on senior day, and good for him. Is there anything Josh Heupel could have done to handle the quarterback situation any differently that would have actually had an effect? So we're with Fred White on that Sunday show with Fred, brought to you by Harrell Group Security Solutions. Go to harrellgps.com to learn more. I'll tell you more about Harrell Group Security Solutions in one moment. Fred, remind me what it's like to run through that tee. I know you and I have talked about it before, but for that final senior day, what's that like? The emotions.
Dave, it's 2 times running through that tee that you'll never forget. The first time you do it, because the crowd is so loud, and it's just one of the most electrifying interests in the college football. And the other is the last time you run through it. And that feeling is humbling because you're never going to get another fan base like that. I don't care where you go. You can go to any NFL football team, and you won't get that same feeling. It's like the changing of a guard as well, because you get a chance to tell the young guys, man, you coming up next. But yeah, it's a feeling that you'll never forget.
I'm sure it is. It's been emotional for a lot of guys, and Tennessee got the win in convincing fashion, 48-24. And I was asked about this class, the senior class, and kind of lumped them together with maybe a couple of guys from last year. But this group, to me, exemplified confidence when honestly there was not a lot of reason to be confident. I go back to last year when we started working with Jacob Warren and Cooper Mays. I mean, they were incredibly confident going into the season. I thought maybe they were too confident, Fred. I thought they sounded like a 10-win team that was going to win 8 games at best. Well, they won 10. And in what would be considered a down year, they won 8. So I would say I would describe this senior group as confident, even maybe more than they should have been, but it worked out and they proved me wrong. How would you describe this senior group?
I feel like they got us back on the right path of winning. They changed the culture. The culture beforehand, before Josh and those guys got here, was not the same as it is now. Meaning that guys didn't try to play hard all the time. I'm not saying that to knock the groups, but I think they took on the personality of their coach, and that's what they've done here. I think they're taking on the personality of Josh, and Josh is he likes to win. He tries, he has some confidence, so you had to instill that into those guys, and I think they saw that he had confidence in them, which made them play harder for him as well. So before, when guys were trying to come, when we were recruiting kids to come to Tennessee, it was, this is what we're going to be. Now you can recruit guys and say, hey, man, this is what we're doing. We've already shown that we can do this, this, and this, and they've seen it already. But they've also seen that culture change in the locker room.
Yeah, well put. The quarterback situation, I thought that Nico should have played earlier, and there are a couple of times in the season I thought he should have played. But Joe Milton goes out with just a fantastic game against Vanderbilt. I mean, we can consider the opponent if we want to, but still 4 touchdown passes and runs for 2 scores. I mean, that's saying something right there. Is there really anything that Josh Heupel could have done with the quarterback situation? Because I think we both agree that Joe Milton wasn't perfect. No player is. That would have actually affected the 8-4 record, or maybe would have seen Nico, but we just saw him in Tennessee still sitting at 8-4. Is there anything you would have gone back and changed about the quarterback position specifically?
I would like to see us be more aggressive like we were in this game. That's the one thing we knew Josh to be, last year. And since he's been at Tennessee, I didn't feel like we were aggressive in some games. The Georgia game in particular, it's like, man, I wish this play calling would have been that way against Georgia. But I know it's different talent, those type of things. But sometimes I like to see us just be who we are, and and dictate the game by doing that. That's the only thing. I feel like we took more shots downfield in this game than we have all season. But it was just we dropped a few of them, but ultimately it was a good outing, and I would have liked to just see that more. That's what we saw in last night's game was what we expected all season.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me ask you this: is that more Josh Heupel being conservative because of Joe Milton, or is that more the opponent when we compare Georgia, Vanderbilt, a little bit of both? I want to remind you that Sunday show is brought to you by Harrell Group Security Solutions, leadership experience specialization. We're talking about people that will extract people from other countries in dangerous situations. Well, they can also provide security for your workplace or your children's school. We're in private schools now, want to get in public schools. Harrell Group Security Solution. Former servicemen 99% of the time that have to go through extensive training to make sure your security at your workplace and your kids' school is safe. Let's avoid the tragedies of the past. HarrellGRP.com. It's right below, or just Google Harrell Group Security Solutions. Tell them that Off the Hook Sports sent you. So why do you think that play calling wasn't as aggressive previously in the
I
season?
know I saw some tight end pop passes yesterday that I haven't seen in a while. We used them some last season. I just thought we would do some more of those things. And I watched Jacob Warren and Castles, catch those balls right in the middle of the football field, and it kind of opened up things, I think. And I've been saying it pretty much all year myself. Not trying to say that I know more than our coaches do or better than our coaches do, but I was just thinking that we got two tight ends that can catch the ball. I love to see them better catch that ball in the middle of the football field. I think they could give us some mismatch opportunities and those type of things, and they showed in this game to be able to do so. But it also opens up things on the outside. And our guys did catch the ball, and they dropped a few that could have been really big plays as well. But I just didn't see. It was different play calling, different game plan, and that's the type of game plan I was used to seeing with Josh. This is one we just saw this past weekend. And I don't know if we missed some of those plays or something, and we called those plays and didn't throw the ball to those situations to those positions or whatever. But I felt like yesterday everything was clicking. I mean, it was hit on all cylinders when it comes to offense.
Well, let me ask you this. There were a couple of streaks in September in which Joe Milton lacked some accuracy. Do you think that his skill set strongly affected Josh Heupel's play calling? Did I stump you?
It's kind of like a shooter, man. If you tell a shooter, okay, well, we're not going to let you shoot.
It's
You know
true.
what I mean?
Nobody told Reggie Miller not to shoot, and he had the
Yeah.
funkiest delivery ever. I mean, shoot or shoot.
Shoot or shoot. So how else you get better if you ain't shooting it?
That's a very fair point. So the argument could be made, maybe you should have thrown more on Joe earlier in the season.
I don't know how to answer that one. But I wish they would have. Watching yesterday's game left a lot on the table for me. Like, dang, that's the play calling we were looking for.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the play calling we saw that we would have in some games. I think if we called a game like that against Missouri, it's a different football game on the offensive side. Now they had a running back that was getting it done for against us or whatever, and we were trying to figure out how to stop him and get the ball back and those type of things. But those were like this play calling is like what this was Josh. This was a Josh Heupel called game. You know what I mean? This is what we became. This is what we fell in love with. You know what I mean? Being aggressive, opening it up, taking the top off the defense, those type of things.
It's worth noting too, there was a coordinator change. Do you think that might have affected any?
I mean, it could have, because anytime you have a change like that, it takes a while to gel. I'm assuming. You know what I mean? I've had a few position coach changes in my day, and it was It was different. Going from Kevin Ramsey to Larry Slade was different, completely different. Two different styles in coaching. Watching Randy take over for Cutcliffe, completely two different styles in coaching. I just think everything takes. Some things take time to build, or some things take time to gel. Now, I will say, going forward, I like to see what shakes out. What do we bring when it comes to recruiting? What do we bring? Are there any changes going to be made? Are any guys going to be leaving? Because the portal goes both ways. Some guys may leave, some guys may stay. Some guys you may see some new guys on campus. And then also, I don't know about the coaching staff, but you never know what happens. Those things change too. Sometimes people are coming after your coaches. Like we had a different office coordinator this year.
Mm-hmm.
What happens in those aspects? Every school is looking for what they need, and I feel like we should be doing the same.
Yeah, it's a great point. Okay, so I'm going to throw, as far as the transfer portal goes, a couple of names at you that I think are the most valuable ones. I got 3 names in particular. That Sunday Show with Fred is brought to you by Harrell Group Security Solutions. Don't forget, also, we're brought to you in part by our friends at the Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com, Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com. If you're watching on Sunday, you can get the Big Orange Crunch for 50% off because Tennessee won, but that's just on Sunday. But you can use the promo code HOOK to get 10% off any of the fantastic products, wide variety, great selection, strict standards to ensure you only receive the best in CBD or Delta products. Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com. So here are my 3 names, and there's qualifiers to one of them. I think the 3 players that Tennessee would benefit the most from, and we broke it on Friday off the hooksports.com that Cooper Mace was not going to participate in senior day activities. I think we saw at Florida how important he is.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is Brew McCoy, which I've been led to believe he does want to return.
Mm-hmm.
I had an NFL scout tell me that he has the most NFL potential of any player on the roster. Now, this was before James Pierce started flashing. I do want to say that. Mm-hmm. But he's given every indication that he would return after a leg injury, but he might say he wants to go after a long college career. Same for Keenan Peely, who's 25, because he also went on the church mission. So he theoretically, I'm told, could return because he missed almost 2 full seasons with an ACL injury and this year with a triceps injury. So I'm told that the NCAA could grant him another year. If they get those 3 back, and I think 2 are better than 90%, the first 2. If they get those 3 guys back, how much better of a football team is this from the get heading into 2024?
I think you come into the season knowing you have a bona fide number 1 receiver.
Mm-hmm.
If you can, come back from injury, those type of things. Most guys have come back from those injuries, and been pretty good for them. He was walking in a boot. It was good to see him just, not having to be on crutches and those type of things. So let you know it's kind of probably healing pretty well. You'd have a bona fide guy who's a leader in your locker room too when it comes to the receiving core. You got some young guys coming in. They're going to need some leadership, and I think he can provide that.
And to that point, Fred, I'm told that despite being a transfer and kind of a strange background, he is one of the most liked and best leaders on that offense. So I think you're exactly 100% right.
And watching the guy come back from injury gives you a lot of respect for him as well. So, and he understands. He's been the guy who could actually go up and get that rock. And early on in the season, I wondered why we didn't get the ball to him more. I'd like to be able to see that let me just say this real quick. Joey Kent paid Manning. Marcus Nash paid Manning. T. Martin, Peerless Price. Justin Hunter. You go down the line of these quarterbacks and receivers that played together, you always had somebody who had you had some go-to guys. You had Jason Swain and Meacham and Brett Smith. They had Eric Ainge. You know what I mean? So, you had guys who always had those connections. I'm looking for that. I want to be able to see that we have those connections with our quarterback going forward. You got to have sometimes you throw the ball to guys who you know are going to get it done, who are battle tested. And sometimes it's not a freshman. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Sometimes it's that veteran guy that you know is going to get the job done.
Yep.
Don't be scared to play the freshman. But, and the other two guys just said, keeping our center, keeping Cooper Mays is going to be really big for us. Like you said, leadership-wise, being able to make the calls at the line of scrimmage to help the quarterback, those type of things help as well. It's just that different communication. Having that guy in the middle, center of your offense makes a difference for our new quarterback coming in as well. I can't remember the third person you said.
Oh, Keenan Pili.
I didn't get a chance to see him play much because he got so early, but I will say we were playing with a walk-on guy playing at linebacker these last few weeks. Did a pretty good job, but I like to see Aaron Carter get back from injury. It probably would do us some good to see Pili.
Tell me if I'm crazy. I would like to see Elijah Haring with his hand down playing defensive end.
I would too.
Okay.
I would too. I think that would be a good position move for him. Will he be accepting of it? In this transfer portal era, you never know. You know what I mean? So
that's the point.
But I would like to see him with his hand on the ground. I think he would be good when it comes to the pass rush, those type of things. It can help us there. But it also tells you need some more linebackers. You had two guys get injured.
Yep.
You need that. You need another linebacker. You need a few guys that you can recruit at that position that can go out there and get it done. One thing about this portal though is that you kind of have to try to bring in the right guys because not everybody fits in your system, and not everybody fits in your locker room. Developing guys and building character is what I feel like we need to be focused on more than anything, and that's getting a guy that's young and teaching them how to play your style of play. And you can plug and play a few guys, but they have to work in your locker room because I think that makes more sense. So that makes that's gonna be bigger in the long run. You don't want to bring a guy in your locker room who's who's not of good character or can lead. If you're bringing in an older guy that's coming from another school, you need him to come in with leadership skills as well. As right off the top, you shouldn't have to teach him that or effort.
No, agreed. Want to ask you if you saw anything from Nico that, I mean, it was very limited. He didn't play a lot. Did you see anything that really altered your opinion either way about Tennessee's starting quarterback in 2024?
I didn't. However, competition is always good. So
I'm going to throw something out of left field to you. How's that?
Mm-hmm.
I want to go back and watch it, and I could be wrong here, Fred, and you tell me if I'm wrong. But do you remember the ball on the screen that he skipped to a player? Do you remember that? Skipped to a receiver. It was short of him. It was in the second half.
I don't
there was a defensive back that I thought read the screen and was coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought if he continued to throw the ball, it might have been intercepted and returned the other way.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he skipped it because he was already in his throwing motion. He's like, I can't go ahead and let it go.
Yeah.
I just feel like, so I want to ask you about that specific play, but I just feel like there's a different presence that he brings when he's on the field and in the huddle. Not compared to Nico, not compared to Hendon Hooker. Just there feels like a presence when he's on the field. Is that fair?
Talking about Nico, right?
Yes.
It's a different. You see a different energy, a different feel. He's a quarterback. I think he could do some really good things for us. I think he has the tools and the intangibles. And I'm hoping that we see something special next year.
I think you're going to. If you want special security, Harrell Group Security Solutions, they are able to take care of your workplace with oftentimes service individuals that go through intensive training, your children's school as well. Go to that school administrator and say, Harrell Group Security Solutions. Look them up. We're in private schools now. We'll be in public schools soon. They'll keep you safe. like a safety. Fred White. For Fred White, I'm Dave Hooker. That Sunday Show with Fred brought to you by Harrell Group Security Solutions. And don't forget to go to Hemp House Chat with 2 T's. Use the promo code HOOKED for the best in Delta 9 and the products that you can find at Hemp House Chat. 10% off the promo code HOOKED. He's Fred. I'm Dave. This has been a presentation of Off the Hook Sports.